Leveling up. Extreme business growth through raising your game. When what was once extraordinary becomes ordinary, you know you've leveled up.
I saw a meme from the great Les Brown recently that said, people live out of their memories, not their imagination. What do you mean by that? Well, that is the theme and the topic for this episode. Welcome to the Level Up Podcast with me, George Swift from Bigger, Brighter, Bolder. The Level Up Podcast is here to give you the personal development, the entrepreneurial development and the business growth that you, the ambitious business owner, desires. I'm here to give you the inspiration, the motivation, but above all else, as always, to challenge your aspirations to take you and your business to the next level. Don't forget, subscribe and never miss an episode. What Les Brown is referring to there is how we typically live out of our memories. In other words, we don't use our imagination to create the world, the life, the business that we want to create. We tend to live out of our experiences, our learning, our teachings. What's gone before ends up being what we live into in the future, not because that's the way it has to be, but because that's the only way we know. That's the only experience that we've had. That's the only reference points that we have. And we're driven unconsciously. 95 to 99% of everything we think, feel and do is at an unconscious level. And that's great when it comes to driving your car. It's great when you're playing sports. It's about being unconsciously competent. However, unless we engage with life, unless we deliberately intervene in life and our thought processes and deliberately engage our imagination, the unconscious will rule the show. The unconscious also only has the intelligence of between an 18-month-year-old and maybe a 5 or a 6-year-old. Fear being an 18-month to 2-year-old in terms of intelligence, through to our higher emotional responses being, as I say, 5 or 6 years old. The same as a smart dog. So we don't really want to leave the keys to our life in the hands of a smart dog or a 18-month-year-old, 2-year-old, or a 4 or 5 or even a 6-year-old for that matter. Out of the two, the conscious and the unconscious, we are the conscious and we are way, way smarter. The unconscious is just more powerful. It's faster. It has a lot of benefits. We wouldn't want to get rid of it, that's for sure. However, consciously, we are far more intelligent than we are unconsciously. And therefore, if we leave the show, if we leave the journey of life to the unconscious, then fundamentally, it's going to run it based on fear, pre-programming, evolutionary principles. It's going to run it on our past experiences, what we've witnessed, what we've had ourselves, direct experiences, and what we've been taught by other people, whether that's directly or indirectly through TV, media, the books we read, the films we watch, etc. All of that information goes in, creates our experience of life, and then the unconscious stores all that data, and then it accesses that data to respond and react to current circumstances. What that means, of course, is that actually we can't create something new because we're constantly referencing old patterns of behavior, old reactions, old teachings, learnings, and experiences. So what we need to do, as laid out by Les Brown in that statement, is we have to start to live from our imagination. This is one of the most incredible things that we've evolved to have as a species. We are able to perceive what isn't there. We're able to imagine something that hasn't been created. We can visualize something we've yet to do. We can dream about the future, untethered by time. The unconscious is locked into now. It's locked into the present, referencing the past. Our imagination, our vision, our dreaming enables us to be able to perceive what isn't, to perceive what hasn't been, and to create what could be. And therefore, if we want to change the future, if we want to live into a better life, live into a better business, create a better business, if we want to do more, be more, and have more, then we need to start being different and doing different. And that is impossible if we're only referencing the past. Now, of course, it's not all bad in the past. It's just acknowledging that everything that has gone before has accumulated to what you have today, and your life is on a trajectory of where that's going to play out and how that's going to unfold over the next 12 months, 10 years, 20 years to the end of your days. And if you're not entirely happy with the course of direction of your life or your business or yourself, then of course we need to get involved. We need to have impact on our own life, impact on our own business. We need to impact ourselves in order to change that trajectory so that we can start to self-determine where we want to get to, rather than playing out a script that has already been laid out within us in our unconscious through our programming of the past and from the past. So we need to engage that imagination. Instead of thinking what is, and instead of thinking what was, we need to just start thinking about what could be. It's what they call flexible mindset. And I describe a flexible mindset as being what could be, it could be, I could be, possibility. Whereas a fixed mindset is I am and it is. It's based on what is today, it's based on what has been before, and then predicts what tomorrow, next year, 10 years will be like based on that information. If we are happy with life, then guess what? It's okay to be fixed. In fact, the human species is constantly learning, and the unconscious brain is just trying to find the safest way of being in life. From early childhood, when we are at our most capable of learning, where we're just massively impressionable, we're just trying to work out how to navigate this world in order to be safe. Because let's remember, evolutionary speaking, in our past, life, the world, the environment was a harsh place, a very scary place, a very dangerous place. And therefore, any species that's born into that world has to learn very quickly how to stay alive. And that's the evolutionary driver that sits within us still today. It's not about thriving as a human being. It's not about being happy. It's not about achieving our potential. It's not about possibility or what could be. It's all about getting through today, surviving. And that human condition of survival that got us to this point in life, and this point where we are this incredible species, is the very same thing that holds us back from so much of the enjoyment, the fulfillment of what life could be, holds us back from so much of the possibility of who we could be. In terms of our business, it holds us back from the business we could create, the life we could create, and the success that we can have. Rather than going out there and truly giving our all to succeed in life, we are totally preoccupied unconsciously to just survive this moment and this time in our life. Now, there's a part of us that evolved through our farming evolution to plant some seeds today for what could be tomorrow. This was a huge jump in terms of evolutionary advancement. Rather than being hunter-gatherers where you'd go out there and scavenge and what you caught today, you ate today, like most of the animal kingdom is still to this day, we were able to say, right, I can go hungry today, I can put the energy into toiling my soil today, plant the seed tomorrow, so I can eat plentiful 3 months, 6 months, 12 months in the future. And in that evolution, that transition from hunter-gatherer into farmer, we were also able to perceive things like shelter. So rather than putting up with what we have today and just trying to make the best of what we have today, we were able to start to predict that if we invested our time over the next however many days, weeks, months, or even potentially now years, we could perceive that we could be safer, that we could put that energy into our shelter for the future. That's what gave rise to this incredible world that we've created around us today. The visualization of people, the imagination of people to be able to see how things could be rather than how things were. And if you take a moment to reflect on your own life, and if you look at where you've come from, look at maybe the circumstances you were born into, looking at the lessons in life, the conditioning that you've had in your life from childhood all the way through to this present day. And if you look at where you are today, you'll see that there's certain things are very predictable. We might not like that, but we can see there's a pattern. Quite often we don't have to look that far to find out why things are the way they are based on our previous experiences of life or our parents or our upbringing, for example. I also want you to think about those areas of life now that actually are divergent from maybe the path that you were born onto. Maybe you're the first person in your family to go to university. Maybe you're the first person in your family to own their own home. Maybe you're the first person in your family to own a business or run a business. And if we know that the past will equal the future, and you've had no experience growing up of entrepreneurism and running a business, then the chances are you would not have ended up in business. However, something else obviously had to happen in order to create the possibility for you to be where you are today. And I'm willing to bet that when you look at those things, whether it's business or whether you look at your education or whether you look at the house you live in or the life you have, you'll see that there was a spark of imagination, a spark of possibility, a vision that maybe you held. Maybe you saw the path that you were on and you didn't like that. Maybe you looked at the path that your parents were on and you could see where you were following in those footsteps, and you might love them dearly, but you may have thought, you know what, that's not enough for me. That's not good enough for me. I want to be my own person, or I want better for myself. And if you look at these things today that shouldn't be here today based on your past, and then you start to see how many of those things, if not all of those things, started with a dream, started with a vision, started with an inspired thought of possibility, you start to realize the power of what Les is talking about. Living out of your imagination rather than living from your memories, rather than living from the past, you want to start to live into the future. And it's not something you can do just in one moment. It's something you have to do consistently. So it starts with daring to dream, thinking about how you want life to be, how you want to be, how you want your business to be. It's removing those external obstacles that may be put in your way based on your own previous experience of life or your own teachings. You want to remove all those limitations and just look at the possibility of what exists there for you. Then you want to hold on to that. You want to see that possibility. You then want to see that that is reality waiting to happen. You then need to commit yourself to achieving that outcome, achieving that possibility, turning that possibility into actuality. How do you do that? Well, we've talked about this all through the beginning of this year. Once you've got a dream, once you've got a vision, once you know what you want out of life, then you have to start breaking that down into tangible goals. What does it look like? What do you need to achieve in order to have that life? Then you need to break down and say, right, what do I need to do in order to achieve those things that give me that overall quality of life and that overall success that I want in business? You then need to break that down into shorter periods of time. If your dream is 10 years in the future, well, that's so far out there, the chances are you'll be motivated today by the vision, but give it a week, 2 weeks, months, maybe even a year or whatever, it starts to feel very, very far in the future. There's a lot of pressing matters in the present to deal with, and therefore your brain will default back to tackling the immediate problem for surviving, as opposed to looking at investing itself in the future for this incredible life that you could have. So you need to bring in practices and routines that keep this alive. Taking the vision, converting it into goals, taking those goals, bringing them down to the year, the quarter, the month, bringing those short-term targets down into activities that you need to do this week and even today and even this moment. And then you need to be disciplined and committed to following that plan. Now, will it be the perfect plan? Will you set the perfect goals? Almost certainly not. The bigger the dream, the more out there it is, the less you can know about what's going to get in the way of you achieving it. So you need to be flexible. So you're saying, right, this is my course heading now. This is where I'm heading now. As you get more information in, you start to adapt the plan, adapt the goals, adapt the journey. And as long as you stay on the path, the compass heading, if you like, that takes you to this ultimate dream, this ultimate vision that you have for yourself and your business, it doesn't matter if you get pulled off a little bit here, a little bit there. It doesn't matter if you take a few wrong turns. As long as you keep your compass point heading at that destination and you keep tirelessly working towards it, you have a very good possibility of achieving it. And even if you don't end up achieving it, if it's a huge goal, massive goal, a monumental goal, it'd be wrong for me to say to you that 100% you will achieve it. All I can say is 100% you could achieve it and you can achieve it. It's possible through circumstance. It's possible for a whole host of reasons you might not quite get there. However, just imagine how far down the road you'll be if you followed this thinking, if you followed this course of action. More often than not, by the way, your 10-year vision is relevant to where you are now, and it's relevant to where you've been, and it's based on the best vision you can have for yourself given who you are today. Quite often, as you start to progress this path, you'll evolve, you'll develop, you'll grow older, wiser, maturer. Your values will change slightly. What's important to you, your priorities will shift. What you enjoy and don't enjoy so much will change as you get older and wiser. And therefore, actually, while we put these goals out there, this vision out there, it's there to pull us into the future and guide us to a better place. But you may well find that along that journey, you deliberately and intentionally change that image. You might deliberately and intentionally change the course of your path because actually you can see a better way. You can see a better place to end up based on who you are at that point. And so it might continue. The journey of life, the journey of success, the journey of life fulfillment is not something that you set out at 21 years old and then tirelessly walk for the next 40 years or 50 years or 60 years. It's something you put out there at every stage of your life. And as you start to work through that plan, as you start to walk that journey, you're constantly evolving, constantly learning, constantly adapting in order to constantly improve the quality of your life in the moment and the quality of your life in the future. So start to live your life out of your imagination and not out of your memories. Don't let the past automatically equal the future. Realize that you are a creative human being with the ability to perceive, to imagine, to dream of what could be. And if you turn that intangible into tangible action that you take today and this week, this month, this year, then you're on the path of creating and actualizing that possibility, that dream, that vision that you hold. And no matter how big that dream is, no matter how big those goals are, there is a path that takes you there. Your job is to find that path, and your job is to stay on that path, and your job is to continuously and tirelessly walk that path until such time that you either achieve that destination or you start to see a better destination for you. And then you repeat. This is not about slogging out the whole of your life so you can have a good retirement. This is not at the expense of enjoying today. For me, the perfectly fulfilled life is one where you are happy and fulfilled and joyous in what you're doing today, where you're purposeful, passionate, playful in all you do today. And that action and activity takes you to the future that you want to have. And that's what I call alignment. To align who you are today and the joy you're having today and your purpose today and the fun and the love and everything that makes life fulfilling today, align that with where you want to be in the future so that just being in that place today is automatically leading you to that incredible future. You can't do it unconsciously, and it's not going to happen by accident. This is something that you have to intentionally get involved with. Take time out, see where you want to go, visualize it, quantify it, turn it into goals, turn it into actions, hold that vision, hold that focus, keep your compass pointing at that destination, tirelessly keep working towards that end goal whilst constantly making the journey that you're on this moment as pleasurable as humanly possible. And for me, that sounds like a life worth living. Thank you for listening. As always, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to hear what I've got to say. In return, I have an absolute commitment to you to give you the information, the insight, the motivation, the support that maybe you need in order to navigate this journey of life, this journey of entrepreneurism that you find yourself on. If you want to know a little bit more about me, about Bigger, Brighter, Bolder, about our success groups, then please do go to biggerbrighterbolder.co.uk. You can find out about our success groups, whether you're launching your business at the moment, whether you're doing 20, 30, 40, 50K and you want to build that business into something much more solid, or whether you're doing 100K, 200K, maybe even up to $500,000 and you want to scale that business and you want to take it to the next level and start to get the real rewards that are on offer for running a business for your own life, your own lifestyle, then please do go and check us out. If you're ready for a conversation, you want to talk to us about how we can support you, help you, how we can get you there faster, and how there can be so much better than maybe even you can imagine right now. If you want to follow in the footsteps of so many of our members who have taken their businesses and their lives to the next level, whether that's taking businesses from 50k to 120k in 1 year, whether that's businesses that have gone from 150 to 350 in a year, then they went on to do 750, then went on to do 1.5 million, then 2.2 million, etc., etc. It is a well-trodden path. There is possibility out there that maybe even you yourself right now can't tap into, can't truly visualize for yourself. Then if you're ready to have a chat to us about how we can make that possibility happen for you, then please do talk to my partner in life and in business, Tracy Miller. Tracy with an E, .Miller at biggerbrighterbolder.co.uk. I'll put both those links in the descriptions of this podcast, along with some other links to other resources to help you on this journey. I will see you next time. Until then, as always, be successful.
Leveling up. Extreme business growth through raising your game. When what was once extraordinary becomes ordinary, you know you've leveled up.